Lenovo Yoga 7i 16-inch 2-in-1. This thing is top notch. It's a beautiful machine. The best part of this laptop is actually the price. I cannot believe how much are we actually getting for our money. For under $1,000, for around $1,000, you can get the most modern i7 with 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 SSD, with a 2K screen, with a high brightness, a really colorful, vivid, the backlit keyboard. The whole entire casing is full metal, top to bottom. The build quality, the way they designed as an object. I'm not saying it's art. It's really nice. Look at the engraving. Look at the materials on the top. The paint. It's technically scratch resistant, fingerprint resistant. I've been living in a Dell ecosystem for about 16 years by choice. I'm working for a small independent shop. We can sell any brand from any manufacturer, any model. The only thing what we are shooting for is the customer has to be happy. The laptop, desktop, server what we sell has to last and has to be super reliable. That's the most important thing, because mostly we work for businesses, a lot of them healthcare. A computer cannot fail, cannot go down, or if it does, we have to be ready to go, we have to be familiar. So we're not really jumping between brands. We are very happy with Dell, but my first thought was like, why can't we have something like this from Dell? It's $1,000 or under $1,000, looks great. Uh, Not saying it's a piece of art. All these rolled edges, it's well designed, well engineered, and well manufactured. This laptop literally sells itself. I had a client about a year ago. The warranty just expired about 2 weeks ago on this particular machine. It has an i7 12th generation CPU in it. It has 16 gigs of RAM, a 512 SSD, a 2K screen, and it's a beautiful thing. So the backstory is that client wanted to have a Lenovo. So just based on the pictures, based on a price, and based on a spec sheet, I ended up choosing this for him, and he loved it, and he's no longer working for a company, so the company laptop needed to be returned, and the company asked me to take this down to a different location and give it to somebody else. I said like, okay, I'm just gonna grab this laptop, I'm gonna drop it down to the other location, and maybe I'm gonna run some Windows updates, firmware updates, Office 365 updates. They don't do anything else. It's literally just Microsoft applications and a browser. And I was shocked. I was not ready to see how bad the Wi-Fi is. I was able to download Office 365 with 5 megabit down. I was running speed test. Best case scenario, I can go up to 40, 50 megabit when the client had 500 or even 1 gig on a Wi-Fi, and every single device works except this one. So I brought it home to my home studio, same exact thing. I took it to another place just to triple check, and same thing. The Wi-Fi is anywhere between 5 to 50 megabit down, no matter what. I replaced the drivers, I reinstalled it, I played with the settings. I just ended up wiping the whole thing. I went to Microsoft, downloaded the latest ISO, and just nuked the whole thing, put the Wi-Fi driver back in, and same exact thing, nothing changed. I started Googling, and turns out a lot of people are having issues with Lenovo Wi-Fi, which I'm not familiar, because I hate to say it, but the Dell doesn't look as good as this, cost more, but the Wi-Fi is super solid. I never had to tinker with the Wi-Fi. I'm not a huge shop. We only overseeing maybe 1,000, 1,100 desktops and laptops and servers combined. So maybe this is the one and only which has this issue. Ripping everything off again, going to Intel.com, and Intel has its own application. It detects the actual chipset and every single Intel component, and it was literally telling me that I'm gonna remove this Lenovo custom driver and I'm gonna put my own driver in, and we did that. Things improved, but still wasn't great. I was still getting packet loss. I made a little bit of video. Here's the settings where I had to go under the network card in device manager and change, and that's significantly improved. No, I still cannot download anything faster than 200 megabit, but at least I don't have packet loss, and mostly I have 100, 150 down, and double or triple the speed up. I can't wrap my head around this is going to be good enough for a client. Other than that, I don't know what would be the solution. Maybe opening a ticket with Lenovo, check their level of support or warranty out, but it's not under warranty anymore. So another thing that surprised me about how affordable is actually get warranty extension on a laptop. If I need a basic warranty, I think it's $40-50, and for $120 or $130, the highest tier, which includes accidental damage and even battery coverage, I can have that. So let's talk about the cons since we are already in this topic. The battery is not that great. I think originally this battery lasted about 8 to 10 hours, and now it's about a 6-hour battery. The battery was charged 221 times in this past 1 year, so it was definitely in use, and definitely this laptop was carried a lot, and I cannot tell that from the case. There is no scrapes, no marks. It's extremely firm. This thing is unbelievable to me, this metal case, how firm it is. And this is a tall order. This is not a joke. It's a heavier laptop. It's a 16-inch. It's probably more than 4 pounds. It's long as anything. There is no dipping, no bending, or no squeaking or anything. Doesn't matter what I do with this laptop. It's firm as it gets, and this is awesome. There are a couple neat features which I haven't seen at Dell. So if Dell is watching this video, they can get some points from here. You want to see what kind of ports we have here? So we have a USB 3.2 port. We have a headphone out. We have a power button in here. We have a HDMI port. We have a USB 3.2. We have two Thunderbolt in here, fully functional. Both can be used for charging and a card reader. Coming from Dell, one thing I never noticed, how nicely the Dell charger is actually connecting to these USB-C ports. This is a small size 65-watt charger. It's well designed. You see this is the original charger. It's a yellow tip. Looks like we're still going with this, but it's wobbles. So I never seen anything like that with a Dell. I plug the Dell charger in it, same thing. I have an HP laptop USB-C charger, same exact thing. It's a port itself. And I have another Lenovo that review is coming as well, same exact thing. Charger is just wobbles in it. No problem, it charges, nothing whatsoever. From the technician standpoint, is just strange. But look at this feature on the back side. If you own this machine, have you noticed that there is a pinhole in here? And it has a little bit of arrow pointing down. I will take a picture and zoom in. I was thinking, without looking to actually Googling, I didn't do it, but I was wondering if this is a battery reset button. So I have a Dell Vostro laptop right here on a bench. It's disassembled still. The customer gave it to me. It's about a year old and almost matching settings with this Lenovo. The Vostro, it's going to be a different video. The build quality is embarrassingly bad. I'm a Dell fan. I'm a Dell guy. This is what I do in the past 16 years, and I cannot believe how bad the build quality on this Vostro. The keyboard is not even in a flat line. There is maybe a quarter-inch height-wise on a different keys on a keyboard. The plastic is extremely cheap and wobbly. We'll get into that, but what I'm wanted to say is it has the same problem. So the customer plugged the charger in it and it's not charging. The charger is not indicating that it's actually charging the laptop, and it's a pretty common thing. Unfortunately, nowadays you have to disassemble the laptop, unplug the battery from the circuit board, press and hold the power button, plug the charger in, the laptop kicked in, booted into Windows, shut it down, put the battery back in, and put the cover back in, and it's good to go. So Lenovo's combating this whole problem, having a reset button right here with a pin, you push it in. However, I talked to Lenovo techs and they said like, yep, it's amazing feature, only works half of the time. The other half of the time, guess what? We are removing all the screws on the bottom. We're removing the bottom cover, disconnecting the battery from the circuit board, pressing and holding the button, the power button, and then plugging into the charger, and then it kicks in, it works, and putting everything back. So at least you have a shot, and you don't have to go through as an end user. So the other thing which it really draw my attention, this whole entire place for intake air. So this is a laptop. Never put it on your lap, because this is the only place when the laptop is getting fresh air, and this is where the hot air escapes. If you cover this area, especially in here, this thing will suffocate. So don't do that. One thing I noticed is that it goes from side to side, but if I'm looking at a Dell laptop, one thing is striking right off the bat. I have a mesh. There is a mesh layer underneath this blades in here, so the dust and the dirt cannot just go in easily. Obviously we're losing some performance because we're also blocking some of the cool air. So, and this will be critical because this laptop is 1 year old and I never seen a clogged up, gunked up heat skin in this laptop in a single year than this one was.
So this is where the fan is at, and this is where we have the big empty space for a fan. There is absolutely nothing in here, but look, this is a spot when the second fan could really help. So we have a big battery, which is actually just 70 watt hour. If this would be a Dell and would go from side to side, this would be like a 100 watt hour battery. We have the Wi-Fi and a Bluetooth module in here. We have only one solid state. We have no secondary slot. We have no RAM upgrade. Everything is on board. We have 16 gigs, so whatever we're going with for life. And looks like there would be space for a second fan. Unfortunately, I can't understand why, but we don't have that. But if we're looking at the price of this laptop, it is extremely affordable. The stuff what we're getting for this much is unreal. So something has to give. And when we reviewed those business class Lenovo ThinkPads, even the E series and the S series, I was extremely happy to see that we had a huge amount of reinforcement around every single mounting point, and we don't have it in here. I see gaps in here all over the place. In the E series, the business class, even a low end would have some kind of filler in here. Maybe they didn't feel like doing it because it's all metal. But look at the fan, how much stuff we ended up getting sucked in to the cooling system through these big openings. 102, 104. All right, other than that, touchpad.
Performance wise, so I believe this is a 1720p CPU in here, and I'm not blown away by the performance. Like, let's look at Cinebench 23, Cinebench 24, we have Geekbench, and we have 3D Mark, PC Mark. One thing I normally run for sure is the 3D Mark test, which actually measures how stable the laptop is. It's gonna loop 20 of these benchmarks, and we're gonna look at which one is the highest score, which one is the lowest score. And if the gap is small between the two, it means that the performance of a laptop is really solid. If you only have a couple frame difference between the lower and the highest, then it means that the performance is coming out very evenly from this machine all the time. And this is pretty much the only machine in a past year which failed this test and was never able to successfully pass it. This thing is 80%, 82, 85. I think it goes up to 90, the lower 90s, and that's it. and the performance what I'm looking at is not great. That Dell Vostro, which I'm referring to as an unbelievably crappy quality with a lower i7 12th generation CPU, less core, less threads, still outperforms this guy. And if you, since you're asking for to see this, well, I can definitely show it to you. It is not a proud day to show this as a deck. So this is a Dell Vostro quote unquote business class machine. The scrapes, the cuffs, it's full plastic. Everything in here is plastic from the cheaper kind. The cooling is is very basic. We have dual channel. At least we can put RAM into this machine. The whole entire screen is just flexes. It's not as bad as a Latitude, but it's definitely here. And the keyboard when I'm typing in, I know this is the ultimate YouTuber test, like how much it flexes. I usually don't care at all. It's not bothering me. Not even a $300 Inspira. Now this thing is even hitting my threshold. I cannot believe how bad the quality is. But even with this cheap plastic, and it's really low end construction with a lower end CPU, we are outperforming this Lenovo. So there are definitely pros and cons. So the review of this thing is also coming. It's an interesting mix. So again, if I looking at the very similar specs, 1 year old Gen 12 i7, Gen 12 i7, 16 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM. I mean, look at this thing from the side or from the top. What happened to this after a year? And in contrast, look at this thing after a year. It's, again, this thing sells itself. And if you own one of this and you're super happy with it and you have no issues with the Wi-Fi, it's all good for you. It's an amazing machine. Then it is an amazing machine. So once we dig in, yes, you can see that we're not scratching the internal quality of a business class machine. Like the reinforcement around mounting points are still similar to Dell. It's not the Lenovo, not even the E-class business standard when they have extra three, almost like 100 or 200% more materials around mounting points, and extra like structure just like designed into the laptop. It's not bad. So what's great about this laptop, as a final thoughts, first of all, I like what we are getting for our money. I feel like it's almost unbeatable. Build quality, this metal case, the construction, the design, it's top notch. I'm jealous as a Dell fan to see this. The third thing I would point out is the screen quality. Even with a drawback in a sunny environment with this screen, it's so mirrory. At night, it's also the backlit keyboard is reflecting itself in a screen. It is hard to swallow that. The keyboard by feel typing it, we have a full numlock pad in here. Great. The touchpad is great. I absolutely have no issues. The speakers are, yeah, I know it's a Dolby Vision Atmos speaker. It is not a firework for sure. It is great. There is no bass. Like the webcam, same thing. It's 2 megapixel. Here's the footage. It works. It's the industry standard for some reason. This 2 megapixel camera. I don't even know how many megapixel this phone is what I'm recording with. So we can bravely stepping into the future now and just start using 5 megapixel cameras. I would happy to pay the extra $20 to have something better. So hinges feel great, the construction feel great, ports are working fine. The Wi-Fi is a big one for me. A lot of people complaining. The Bluetooth apparently the same thing. I'm gonna release that video. Maybe it will help some of you out who's been struggling with the same thing. Performance wise, this thing will never do anything else besides Office 365 and maybe movies after hours, and it's great for that. So if you are not somebody who looking for squeezing every single bit of performance out of this thing, This probably could be a good choice. It's also possible that something is not right with this. I would not hesitate to buy the extended warranty and let Lenovo have it. If you like this video, if you just would consider, because there is no sponsors in here, obviously this is not a sponsored video. You are the sponsor by viewing and maybe leaving a comment or subscribing to the channel, and I really appreciate it. If you have this laptop, or if you consider buying this, have any concerns, any thoughts, any experience want to share, hit me up in the comment section. I'm always happy to respond. I'll see you in the next video. Scott's out.